what's up? It's your boy Chanda and Mbao, and we're back with another episode of Zambian Hip-Hop History. And I have the pleasure and the pride today of introducing one of the forefathers of the game, you know, that we have today, that is Zambian Hip-Hop. This is a gentleman who personally I first caught wind of through his talent with battle rapping and freestyling, which he subsequently parlayed into a successful music career as a hip-hop artist. And so today we have the pleasure of introducing the main man himself, 5ive 4our.
That's good, G.
Yo, man, thank you for coming through, man. Really appreciate your presence today, man.
Thanks for having me. This is a good thing, you know. I've seen an episode, so I'm happy to be here.
No, man, we thank you for your contributions to the game, and we thank you for, you know, sharing some time with us today, man. I really appreciate it, and just wanted to get a chat to obviously go through the timeline, you know, and share your story and document it for the good of Z hip hop. You know what I mean? I think you have a lot of gems and a lot of valuable knowledge and a lot of, you know, experience and achievement. So, you know, we just want to celebrate that, you know? So if you don't mind, sir, obviously not everybody out there is going to know the story. So if you don't mind giving an introduction to 5ive 4our and who 5ive 4our is, for those who don't know, now they're going to know.
Okay. 5ive 4our. Well, AKA King 5, AKA E-Crow's big bro. Basically an OG in the game. I don't know if I qualify to be called hip-hop artist, or I was, whichever, you know, because I don't think I've been in the game for quite a bit now. I just sit back and just watch. So basically, yeah, I'm just a laid-back guy now. I'm way older, less, you know, active, not too rowdy like I used to be back in my days. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, the man. I'm sure there's lots of people who don't know me. There's lots of people who like to call, let's say, the streets. Yeah, the streets know. Yeah, that's basically me.
No, man, you know, we again appreciate all the contributions to the game. So I'd love to spend some time walking people through, man. Musically, I guess we can rewind, you know, if you don't mind, you know, telling us about when you first fell in love with hip hop, you know, maybe on a personal level, and then we'll take that into how that turned into your journey and your career in hip hop. So what were the first moments of falling in love with it?
Well, to go back into it, I remember, I think it must have been maybe around early 94, maybe.
Yeah.
I had two of my guys who I grew up with, my childhood friends. There was Mangala Nalili and Walia, what was his name? Fungamwango.
Okay.
These were my guys. We played like since we were kids with action figures and stuff.
Yeah.
So Mangala was more, he introduced me to Ali and the R&B side of things.
Yeah.
But then with Walia, he had an older brother who was older than us, definitely, but then he was like the coolest guy in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And then he used to listen to rap. So the first album I ever had, I think, was the tape that Walia stole from his brother.
Okay.
Which was Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg.
Bro.
That's a classic. That's my first time, you know, like listening to rap.
Yeah.
And then that's the thing that made me just say, you know what, this is my thing.
Yeah.
Except I think it ruined me a little because it had too many curse words and whatever. You could have, you know. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. So I'd say Snoop,
huh?
Yeah. Most def.
That's lit.
Yeah.
So how did, I guess, the journey go from first listening, falling in love with the genre, I guess, somewhat at a distance, you know, because Doggy Style is a critical memory for me too. So it's funny that you mentioned that. And I think Holstar said that for him too. Yeah. So it seems like there's something about this Doggy Style.
There's something about Doggy Style. Most def.
But how did it go from that into, yo, I kind of want to try this, or I want to write rhymes, or I want to freestyle, whatever, you know, what was those first steps of starting to practice?
Okay. Well, growing up, I grew up around, like, you know, my older brothers and older cousins, and would spend a lot of time like on holidays. And when we're sitting down maybe at my cousin's house on holiday, the other guys were much older than us.
Yeah.
So what they used to do is that they have, one of my cousins could play the keyboard or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they had like funky names. I think he used to call himself like Ice Mix or whatever it is. So these guys used to rap.
Yeah.
But then I was so young, I just used to like admire this thing. Yeah. Then much later on, there's a guy called Makesa. He used to call himself KSA or Kesa K at times.
Yeah.
And then he was like in between me and I had my cousins my age, then my older cousins and brothers, and then Kesa was in between us. Yeah. So Kesa was like the cool guy. If you could drive from any place and you're going to a party, he'll probably freestyle the whole way.
Oh, wow.
And he'll be freestyling on things that he could see, and everybody liked that. He goes to a party and he'll be getting all this attention, and I was amazed by it. So I thought, you know, maybe I might get into this. But after that, that's how I moved to, when I went to like boarding school.
Yeah.
Me and my boys used to play around. We used to have, me and VGZ. Because VGZ, we used to share a bunker when we were in...
no way.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no way.
But then that time was around the time we used to have, what did you call it? The basement with Big Tigger.
Yeah.
So VGZ used to be Big Tigger. Then I'll just be any rapper that whoever comes through. So that used to be like our play thing.
That's crazy.
So when I finished high school, then I came back, I noticed that the Kesa guy had actually become pretty good. But then he didn't know that I'd started rapping while I was in school.
Yeah.
And you know, one time, I think I started to like study, because I used to study how these guys would freestyle, things they'll pick out off the top of their head. And I thought maybe I could get into it. So some days I'll do it better than others. And then, you know, not really. But from there, that was probably around maybe 2003.
Okay.
Yeah. So 2003, I think, gave me a platform to sort of like open up and, you know, and get my name out there. And my cousin gave me the name. I don't remember, it was a funny story. Something that we did in drinks about the whole 5ive 4our thing. Then he spelled it in a funny way and I said, okay, it's pretty cool, it's not like a regular thing. And then what happened was the couple, how I got into the whole battle situation is that they were big artists then. But how it really got that side is, I know a lot of artists who, when we were in high school, they already had music. We had the likes of Nemo, John Digger, Bullo Man, Professor X, like a whole bunch of guys. Even Exile. When Exile was rapping, there was Crisis, there was John Moo, there was a whole bunch of artists. There was Bryo and them. But then I remember going for a function, I think it must have been like Miss Sika's 2003. And when I got there, nobody knew me. But the guys who I came with from North Mid, and I was moving with one of my friends, Madi at the time, he was like, we were always together, we stayed in the same road. So only the two of us, and then we thought we could take anybody who was out there.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, my hype man is like, nobody's messing with my boy, you know. So we got into it. And that's how I freestyled against a bunch of people that night or whatever. And then people were like, there's this kid, you know. So that's how, you know, I got into that.
Huh?
Yeah,
so 03 Miss Zikas, huh? So that was like a foundational or like a definitional moment in the journey of
because I think people had like camcorders and stuff and they're like, okay, this guy this guy's got something, you know. But then the downside to it is that you didn't have any music. Only the streets know you because of the freestyle that you said, and it's not really documented, or it's nowhere. Not everybody's going to see it or hear it, so ends there.
By the way, what does the name 5ive 4our mean?
It had to do something with me rapping. I don't know, there was like a straight fire freestyle that I did that made sense. It was good enough to be a track, but it probably lasted close to a minute or like 54 seconds. I don't remember the story. It's something from there. And then also, my cousin kind of placed it together with Royce the 5'9" and Roy the 5'4". So in the beginning was Roy the 5'4".
I see.
Yeah, then it cut out the first part, then it just,
5ive 4our, that's crazy, man. I think name stories are so interesting, you know, like with the history of where
but I think people would expect that it should be like a longer story, there's more to it, nothing really.
No, not always, man, but that's really dope to hear. And so tell us then about that journey, because you mentioned that obviously the freestyle and the battle was kind of the beginning. But because obviously I know, you know, songs that you had and stuff, so how did that journey play out in terms of going from being this guy that's known for the freestyling and the battling, and you've got this heat and this hype in the streets? When are you like, nah, I need to get into the studio because I need to start, you know, pushing like a product out there?
I have stories for days. We could sit here like the whole day. I remember this one time. I think the chill spot used to be like Manda Hill back in the days. So we're hanging out
original
there.
Manda Hill.
Yeah, original Manda Hill. The original Manda Hill. That used to be the spot. So I remember one time we were hanging out with a bunch of friends and I was just freestyling the usual, you know, when we take a few drinks and just having fun.
Of course.
And I didn't realize that the next table there were people who were actually paying attention to what I was doing. So the guys were like, is that guy like really freestyling? So they came over to the table and was like, dude, I don't think that was a freestyle. So while he was talking, I hit him right there with whatever he was wearing and looked at me, he's like, this kid is good. And that's how they invited me and said, look, we exchanged numbers. Then they came to pick me up the next day. And they did that. Then they took me to their house. And I had come across some guys who used to make beats. But the beats were okay, no disrespect to the guys. But when I met these guys, they were on a different level. This was my friends Shamba and Morgan Kampiala, who later on started calling himself the Syndicate. Yeah, so they had like a gang of beats. We ran through there and then I was just rapping through all these beats. Then one time he said, why don't we record something? But the time that they invited me there, I had a flu. And then I said, my voice doesn't sound so good. It's like, okay, say something in the mic. And when I said it, he was like, it actually sounds good because your voice is kind of sharp. So with the flu, it kind of muffles it a little. So let's do it.
Yeah.
So I rapped over this beat, was really chilled, and they added some things to it, and it was called the 5ive 4our freestyle. I think that was the first time I actually recorded something.
Yeah.
And then from there, because now we're in uni, so I went to, I met Jack, the diplomat at the time, the diplomat and BMAC.
Okay.
Yeah, there were guys who were rapping, but I didn't know them. They didn't know me. Maybe they'd heard about me. But funny thing is that me and Jack lived in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
So when we met in uni, the cool thing, someone introduced us and we just hit it off. And they also had like a bunch of beats. So when I, listened to their beats, I think their beats were okay, but they were still learning how to make beats. So I said, you know what? I don't want to disrespect whatever. I don't want you to take it the funny way, but I know a guy. So when I called Morgan and Shamba, they came through with a gang of beats. But then those guys were always biased because I was their guy.
Yeah.
So whenever they make something, before they give it out, they run it by me and say, do you want to have this or can we give it to the guy?
Yeah.
And then that's the first time I made a song, and we made it in on campus. My first song, Who Am I?
Yeah, oh man.
Yeah, so that's how it came about, he brought the beat and said, I don't know what you think about this. And you just listen to this thing and it's got crows on it. And then beat just drops and I was like, okay. And said, yeah, I made this one just for you. But then the funny thing is that the guys were helpful because we sat and started thinking of ideas of what we could do. I came up with a few ideas and we mixed everything. Then that's how that song came out. But then I think going back to my influence with the whole Snoop thing, I was cussing so much.
Oh yeah.
I was cussing so much. But people didn't care because it was like the first time they listened to something and said, this is like totally different. But I didn't look at it that way because I didn't feel, when you make something, it takes time. It was even hard for me to listen to my own music because how you think you sound versus how you really sound when you listen to yourself, it's totally different.
I hear you.
So I'll be like, I don't know about that. But the guys were like, this is it. I was like, nah. So that's how I got into that.
So Who Am I was the first track. So the 5ive 4our freestyle was the first recording.
Yes. But
and then Who Am I was the first track.
Exactly.
Huh? Okay. Because I remember and Who Am I actually used to play on radio and stuff.
Yeah, because I think they found after that the first time I actually had it played on radio was I've got a niece of mine, Yoko. She used to be with I think Radio Phoenix or something. So she invited me there, and then imagine it wasn't censored, and she's like, I want to play your song. So I had to like rap through it while she was on radio. Then I'll tell her every time a cuss word was about to come, then she'll pull it out. Pull it out, put back,
That's crazy.
Yeah, then we went through that. Then we got a couple calls and people were like, I want to buy his music. Has this guy ever been to the States or whatever? Like, no. So, when someone's calling in, this guy that you're saying, he's not Zambian. Then I'd always just be like, so people were excited because I think they thought it was, I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
And I experienced that a lot with a lot of people because if you rap a certain way or sound a certain way, people come to talk to you because they think that's how you are. You meet people outside, yo, my man, what's good? How you doing? The guys, I don't know if it's disappointment or whatever, but I know I did that deliberately, just cut down that, So I went through that a lot, but then, so from, I think that was the
genesis.
Yeah, that was the genesis of it all.
And would you say that the thing that you just touched on, right? This kind of perception, and obviously you're primarily rapping in English, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that was challenging for you at all? Or would you say it was more of a differentiating factor at the time? Like how psychologically did you feel about being one of the dudes, rapping in English at the time?
It was like two-sided because on one side, people are amazed that you actually sound like that or you make such good music or whatever according to them.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you get that. It sounds too American. Oh, this guy sounds like Jay-Z. Oh, this Jay-Z wannabe. If you do a freestyle and it's so good, someone will say he wrote that. And then now to prove a point, I'll actually do a freestyle off the top with you and whatever it is that you're wearing. Then you'll be just like, oh, he's really that good. So it worked out both ways, but it's just up to me if I was able to take the criticism, because the criticism actually kind of built me and made me better. It's like, I don't care what you say. I mean, you don't do what I do, so you're free to say whatever you say what you want to say. That's up to you. But then also it gave me, it made me sort of be ready to be criticized by people, because you deal with a few people, then out there when you go, there's more people. Then you find you have to just work around it and maybe ignore certain things, because if you focus on the negative, then you probably quit faster than, you just say, you know what, I'm done, I can't deal with it.
So you use it to develop thick skin. Right? You were like, look, I'm not gonna let it like slow down my roll, slow down my movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, dope. So Who Am I is the first single that's out there. tell us about any body of works that you dropped, and if so, how many you dropped.
The funny thing is, I think maybe that's why people are still calling me out to say, no, you owe us something, whatever. I never had like a project or whatever it is. It was always joint stuff with people, because when we formed Pitch Black, I think Pitch Black was already there. I just became a member of it.
Okay.
And then we'll do songs, we'll pick like combinations, we'll say, okay, maybe we'll let Mac do this song, or we'll let DYP do the next song, or we're jumping on this song, or this person's doing the hook, just different combinations. And around that same time, I think there was the issue, we were influenced by a lot. So we'll follow projects like maybe G-Unit, Beg for Mercy type thing. So we'll follow maybe a format and say something like this, you know, but you're trying to put your music out there. So I couldn't exactly say I did projects. I just did joints with people. We had like a mixtape with the crew. We did another mixtape. And then we'll give out most of the music like for free, because we have these things on a PC. And then you'll find that the guys that you least expect will come to you and say, you know, you're on camp and guys, they said, let's go by the room. You got a flash? It's like, you're just going to give me just like that. Like, let's go. Because in us doing that, we managed to spread the music on camp, and we had people just showing us love from nowhere, you know. Even the girls would be happy, just like, oh, so those are the guys. Then they're just like, other people are just like, to my old body with my family. So, you know,
they're huge.
So I can't really say, but then I would say that so we had a couple mixtapes with Pitch Black. I think the first one was called Trip Up Future Lane or something like that. And then we had another mixtape, but then on the second one. Then on the third one, I don't think I was there. And it's not like a situation that split us up because we had differences or whatever. I think we had a different direction where we wanted to take this thing. Because for me, this whole thing was like a hobby. But then there was an opportunity to make like money out of it or whatever. But then what became an issue was, I thought the commercial side of things would be a good idea. Because truthfully, if you're going to listen to like hip hop, you'd be talking about Talib Kweli and those guys, Common and stuff. But in their own right, as much as they're great, I don't know how much they sell. They have a following. Where my idea was, I thought would make more commercial music, something that maybe the women would vibe to, whoever, you know, like everybody incorporating the thing, because it'll, if we really want to make money off it, that's the direction to go. But I think maybe Jack at the time had a different idea about it, and maybe because of that, it allowed me to just sort of leave the situation and say, let me do something else, but then no bad blood or whatever, you know, we still maintain that. So that's what kind of moved me. And then around that time, I think I met Lukundo and Chifumbe, Lukundo Superman, and they were setting up So Good Entertainment. So they said, you know what, I think you've got like a good name in there, but then I think there's more that you could offer. And if you came this direction, I mean, my family, Lukundo's like my big brother, someone who I look up to because he's been managing artists for the longest. You know, so I mean, why not go under the wing of someone you trust?
Who knows?
So that's how I joined So Good Entertainment. And then from there, I got to meet like a lot of amazing people. I think that's so there I think we did quite a lot of music, because we did like group type, maybe like a mixtape with Cashro and them. I did something with Critic and K-Star 2-1. I did something with Salma. Very interesting. And a few other artists, like so pretty much I can't point at a project and say this is what I did. But I think I've got like some joints
that's two mixtapes under Pitch Black that you were part of, which I think is important and relevant. So that would be around what years for those mixtapes?
I think those were around maybe 2004. Because we were like in first year, and you know, we were crazy. 2004, 2005. That period.
So it's around the Who Am I time, right? So Who Am I comes out, and you've also got these mixtapes with the guys, crew. Tell me, was Pitch Black a formal record label, or was it like a movement and a crew?
It was more of a movement and a crew, rather than But then I think much later on, I think because it had a bit of a following, I think Jack started to think outside the box and say, look, we can turn this into you know, so it turns into something bigger than what we're trying to do.
And who are the people that I guess your compatriots or, you know, your colleagues at Pitch Black? I know you mentioned
those BMAC, those Diplomat, and those Carnage, and then those are other guys, but they were more of like Jack's friends. They were like affiliates, or maybe if they were like original members. But then there were a bunch of guys. It's just that on the first kind of projects that I did, I was there with pretty much BMAC and Diplomat. So yeah, it was pretty much us guys, then the other guys on the later projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's 2 mixtapes with Pitch Black, then So Good.
Yeah.
2 more, right?
I can't put a number on it because we always just feature, like, it's funny how they'll call you at the studio and say, I've got a beat that I think you should do a song on.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I even got to work with Salma. And with Salma, we knew each other, I think, since high school, whatever, so she's like, oh, buddy type thing.
Yeah.
So when we went to the studio, this guy, James Sakala.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be surprised because people look at James Sakala and he makes this music, but you didn't know that on the other side, he's a different guy.
Yeah.
So he makes this song and says, I think you've got, like, I want you to write to this.
Yeah.
So I said, I actually have a verse for it or whatever. So he said, okay, fine, then focus on the second verse.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. So now the funny thing is because I'm thinking, okay, fine, I've got the verse or whatever. So when he puts the beat, I'm like, okay, the beat, not really my thing, but let me see.
Yeah.
When I get there and I try to put down a verse, he stops me like halfway through and says, okay, fine, I want you to give me the lyrics. So I put the lyrics out and he's like, pretty good, but let's go talk outside. So when we talk outside, he's like, you know what? This is a song that you're making for a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can't be talking like you're shouting at her. You have to you gotta tone it down. So tone it down so that like be calm, like I want you to talk like this, I want you to rap like this.
Yeah.
And when I went back, it was a challenge, but I liked the challenge.
Yeah.
And then when he played it back, it only made sense. He said, you see what I was talking about?
Yeah.
So I put the verse, then the homework is now with Salma. And I go and sit back and I can hear her singing and whatever it is. And then after that, I didn't think much of the song. I thought, well, okay, it's a nice song, but I won't blow my own horn. I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
Then it just
that one was loved, huh?
Yeah, so it was crazy. And funny thing is that's the first song that I ever played for my folks, because my folks, this guy likes this rapping stuff,
thing,
but they never listened to anything. And I thought maybe this could work. And so, yeah.
And what did they say?
My dad actually danced to it. My mom was surprised. She went to call my dad and said, "Come listen to this." So my dad listened. Like, I can feel like there's a vibe, but I don't know what it is, But then when the hook kicks in, then my dad started dancing. It's like, okay, this is some good music. So that's when they had to ask me, because a lot of people always speculate and think I left or I stopped rapping because I had to go to school. I could do both.
Yeah.
But I just figured, my dad gave me that option. He asked, what would you like to do? Would you like to do music or would you like to do school? Because whatever it is that you choose, just know I'm behind you, because now I know what you're working with. But for me, I said, let me take this safety net. So I went with school and just focused on that. I could rap whenever I wanted to rap, but I had to make sure I get this in case I decide to get back into rap. And if it doesn't work out, I still have my paper. So that's how that sort of worked out.
You're painting such an interesting picture, and you kind of, you anticipated my line of questioning. It's like, that's one of the things I was curious about, is contrasting the state of the game and the Zambian hip-hop then with Zambian hip-hop now. And I think you've done a good job of kind of painting the landscape. Would you say, in your opinion, because this is something I've heard debated a little bit, that Zambian hip-hop is now, or rather hip-hop in Zambia is now the dominant genre?
Do you think most definitely believe that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it doesn't even matter whether it's in vernacular or whether it's in English. Yeah. Notice half the time when you listen to music, you get the really talented guys who are different, exceptional guys, your maps and whatever it is. You get all these guys who are singing. But now you've got from whether it's Dope Boys, it's Chanda or whatever it is. I'm talking about like the new guys, different from everybody else. Everybody else is rapping. That's what they're doing, regardless of what language or but everybody's rapping. So it must tell you something about the genre. I mean, so many people can sing, I'm sure. Maybe they're yet to be discovered, but then I think it's probably the biggest thing now, because everybody wants to rap. You have from Dismo, all these guys. Everybody just wants to rap. And that's the biggest thing, because it's easier for some people, I think, to put words together and make them rhyme or whatever, and it makes sense now. So when you sit there, I don't listen to every artist. I'm picky about who I listen to or songs, but it sort of makes sense now for whatever it is we're fighting for. It was a struggle in its own to try and get it out there. So to be part of that process and for people to come and look at you and say, look, you fought for this and it worked out, it's a good thing. Because it doesn't have to be me eating off the whole thing. But I feel like I have a bit of experience here and there that can help the next artist. And it doesn't take away anything from me to help someone and see them flourish, because that's the idea. I mean, the industry is still too small for us to be biting at each other when we should be trying to grow the thing. Yeah, exactly.
No, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. And yeah, I mean, I think you characterize and you explain it really well, because I can only imagine what it must have been like. You listed some of the names, you know, these guys had huge songs, the Hamovas, the Tattoos, they were very dominant, you know. So I guess back then you probably couldn't say that hip hop was the dominant.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah, it was the underdog. Hip hop was the underdog that became the big dog.
You had your 15 minutes of fame, whatever it is, at their show, which is like 3-4 hours.
So no, you can open up, just open up.
You just open up for, you know, you open up for this guy. But then these days, you will probably get some guys, not them, but then some guys who are singing to open up for you.
For you, yeah.
You know?
That's wild, man. That's like very informative, and I think, you know, you paint a great picture, man. You paint a great picture. Contrasting how the game was then versus to, you know, what it's become, and how now hip hop is the dominant genre. So that's a really dope story of underdog to big dog. But going back, you know, back to those times, what would you say, like, for you personally, was one of the big, I guess, challenges you had to overcome, being, I guess, one of the kind of, I guess, pioneers in a sense of hip hop back then? What would you say was the single most difficult personal challenge as a hip hop artist in that original environment?
I think maybe just not being accepted, people not accepting the music that you're making, because they felt it need to be more Zambian. But if I'm Zambian, what more do you expect? I mean, maybe the influence is from the American guys, but I'm trying to find my footing, and I'm trying to turn it into my own thing. You know, so I think maybe that must have been like the biggest challenge. But then, you know,
keep moving, huh?
Yeah, but you have to keep it moving. You can't stop what you're doing based on someone's opinion, because people always talk regardless. Always, So you just have to focus on what you think you need to do to get to where you're going.
No, man, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, you know, I have my own story.
I think you've been through that too.
You know, definitely, man. But one thing that I did say, or I like to bring home, is that if we look at, you know, another market, like take South Africa as an example, I once posted on my Facebook, I was like, South Africa has both Nasty C and Show Majozi. You know, one is an English hip hop cat, you know, and one is a Limpopo, Gom, you know, like hardcore, you know what I'm saying? There's enough space for everybody. They're both South African, you know what I'm saying? And they both represent, and at the end of the day, it's a net benefit to Zambia to have any creative talent, no matter what they do, whether they play guitar, whether they do chimwemwe dance, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
And I think maybe that's part of the problem that we have here, because we have a situation where we have so many artists, so much talent, but then one person doesn't want the next person to be the person that received a certain award. Right now the talk is about maybe the Grammy ever since Burna Boy got his thing. I think Pompey talk about the Grammy. I think you spoke about it as well, and whatever it is. But then, to me, it doesn't matter who gets it. I feel like it's a win for all of
everybody.
But then the problem that we have is that artists want to be, I was the guy, I was the one who brought it home. No, it doesn't matter, because if the other time I think I saw you post something, and I respect that, because I think two artists that remind me of a younger me is you and maybe Dope G, because it's always about support for the next person. If you see something that you think would help, if you said something, I think you said something about Maki too. I think his followers, I think on Instagram, about maybe 500K or getting to 5 or whatever. And the idea is to push. We have Cleo Ice Queen at 400. We could push. But then the thing is, up to us as artists to come together and say, look, this is what we're doing, whether we're going to form like a union or whatever it is, and we're going to drive this thing, because even for people to want to do like collabs with us, they'll look at the viewing, the following, or whatever it is. And right now, one of the guys is like Your Maps. I think Your Maps is doing millions of views on YouTube, whatever it is. He's the guy. If he blesses you with the hook, you're gonna get a million views, most likely.
The stimulus package.
Exactly. So you have to work with that. You see? But a lot of people would rather just say, "No, I should be the one. I should be the one." No, it doesn't matter. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than you as an individual.
Exactly.
But if you bring it together, then it makes more sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because you would think our culture is founded on Ubuntu. But sometimes I feel like we fail to apply the principles of Ubuntu.
It's far from
you know what I'm saying?
It's just a word because it applies to business as well.
Yeah.
You thought that if you could come together as a bunch of people doing different businesses, you could find a way that you could work around it because you lift those borders and you say, okay, he's got this, he's got that. Yeah. How do we...
Synergy.
Yeah, the synergy. Yeah, exactly. So how do we work? But then this person thinks I'm too big to work with that guy. That guy thinks I'm too big to work with that guy. It's not going to work.
I think that's something, you know, that we need to work on in the music industry and really all walks of Zambian life, to be honest. You know, I think we need to really get back to that real spirit of Ubuntu, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a bit hard.
Yeah.
Because I think people don't look at it like that. Everyone wants to be
that guy. Why? Eh? Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think I found it like that, and
I'll leave it.
I don't look at situations where if I go and the guy's like, that's the guy who did whatever. No, it'll be nice. I'll be humble about you saying whatever, but I don't really want to be that guy. Anybody could do it. I'll be happy if you got the Grammy. I'll be happy if Pompey got it, or Slap D, or Chef, or whoever it is. It doesn't matter, but it's one of us. Because one of us will open up a door for everybody else.
All of us.
So are we going to sit and focus on someone and say, I think this is the guy? You could do that. I mean, if you could go through that Grammy process and say, oh, it has a process which you are not afraid to share with other people. It's because you don't care who gets it, but your people should know, because they just think it's about making music.
Exactly.
You see? Yeah, but then if you're able to open up, people should be like that.
Yeah, no, you know, one thing I always say, and obviously we're getting, these are bigger topics that are even bigger than Zambian hip-hop, but still very important. But I think one thing that I would like to see more of in Zambia, and Zambian music, Zambian hip-hop, but Zambia life in general, is people focusing and seeing the value in win-win.
Yes.
I feel so many Zambians enter situations almost with their win-lose. You know, it's like, I want one up on the next guy.
Exactly.
And I think we need to stop that. I think we need to say, how do we both win? Like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Which is why, you know, conversations like you're saying, like, no, the way I look at it is almost like, it's almost like when you're younger and you're guys in a crew, and let's say maybe like you're at a party, right? My mentality about young men and young women coming together, I was always like, yo, if I want that girl but she wants my dude, I'm cool with that. Like
it's a win.
Somebody
someone from our crew better deal with her than somebody else from somewhere else, because then we lose.
Yeah, why should I start fighting? You know, to say, no, this has to be for me or nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think going back to like most of the guys that I grew up with, we did the same thing, including like Pitch Black. If we sit down and we're making a song, if someone's verse wasn't like on point, be it mine or whoever it is, we'll still sit back and say, but why don't you say it like this? Or why don't you say this? Or we change the whole thing, because
no man left
while
behind.
It's like competitive, whatever, but this is us behind. when the song is out there. They're not going to say, this guy was weak. They just say that song, he would have been better, but then the guy's thing. But then imagine if everyone's got a verse and that makes sense and it's on point, and just like, you heard that joint? Same thing, you're going to a party, your boy's gear is not looking right. You have to set it up, because it's not about you there. Like, oh, that guy was fresh. Nah, those guys were fresh. That makes more sense. But if you go there, then you want to be the guy who's, you know, Mr. That's the man. Nah, it can't work.
Yeah,
you can't be an island. The whole team wins.
Needs to win. Yeah. I really rock with that ethic, man. We all win. We can all win. So remember that. But going back to Zambian hip hop, man, you know, I'd love to. There's a very interesting story that you mentioned, which was about a time that you were going to go perform out in SA. And I'd love for you to tell that story to the viewers, in the sense of, just in the context of, one, Zambian music crossing borders and the types of opportunities that are available and possible. But also just as a personal story, you know, about how, you know, you were pushing and how, you know, certain things may be manifested and worked there.
The show's on Sundays, and they tell you if you can come through on Saturday, just making time for rehearsals, then we can think. And then everything didn't fall in place. In as much as I felt bad a little, but it was like, I was happy to have had the chance before. Anybody else. I mean, other artists probably went, but then for me, I was like, it's big because I'm just a regular guy and I got this chance. But to me, it felt like a win the following time when Zone Fam went there, because now these are my young brothers and they're rapping, we're in the same genre or whatever it is, and I supported it. And to me, that was like a win still. I felt like it made up for how I felt like I lost something, and then they got through with it, and it's like, hey, cool. But very few people know that story, because it was me and my guys. It was Lukundo Superman, and he was, you know, calling me from SA. It's like, dude, this is what's happening, whatever. Because I don't think when they were setting it up, they did it properly or whatever, or they miscalculated, or how many artists, yes, whoever. But then lost out, but still won on the Zone Fam thing, because I just felt like these are people who I vibe with. We meet, we talk, we're trying to do music together, whatever. So for them to do that was like
big.
Yeah, it's still big. It's a win.
No, that was definitely huge. That was definitely huge. And I guess in your wisdom, obviously you've grown a lot. Would you have done anything differently about that situation? Would you have tried to find a way to make it work, or do you think like it was just really difficult for you where you were at the time?
No, I think I would have, but then it reached a point where some things you accept, like, because maybe there's a reason why it didn't really happen that way. And it brings me to the next thing, because I remember, a point in this whole hip hop thing that probably changed for me, which was like a whole big thing, was when we had the Star Search issue. Because it was more about people who are singing, vocal abilities and whatnot. But then we had TR Kapuka, who was there. And then he managed to make it to the finals, and he was second or whatever it is. But before he went to that the final show, I went to, because I think he was at Zika, so I went to Zika's with my guys. But when we're there, there are people who I knew. And then they knew him, so they tried to like introduce me to him or whatever. But then other people always have funny motives. I have your back on this one. Because it's a win. I mean, you got to the stage there, so I don't know, keep smiling, keep showing them your demos and whatever.
Sell.
But we're there for you, you have us.
No, that's a really dope hip hop moment. Would you classify that as a big hip hop memory for you?
I would put as number one, because I think it gave all of us a platform. Like, it moved us to a different stage, because now people would want to say, okay, Zambian rap is, that was number one. The second one for me would be the Zone Fam award, channel.
Yeah, that was big.
That was big. And the problem that I have with it is that people want to downplay other people's achievements. Like, I would have gotten there. What? No, you wouldn't have. You would have won by now, but you still don't have one. So you can't look at your friends and be like, Nah, they did their thing. They deserved it. They worked hard. They brought like punchlines and whatever it is to the game in the vernacular thing. Because everyone could rap from, what do you call that guy? I can't even remember his name. Was it Chimasta? That guy, those Master Flow. Yes, that guy. He had a nice flow, whatever it is. He was really Master Flow. He had the flow. And then there was Black Moon too also. They had their thing, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
But everybody could do that. I mean, even Slap D had the nice lines, he could rhyme or whatever it is. But when these guys came, they would always just say shani, like on Chikali or whatever it is, all their joints. They would always bring in something different. And just like, punchline. And then now you see how that has transitioned to where Chef is. My Bemba is not that deep, but I understand him, because he will say something that I would probably say in English. And I'm just like, wait, but then when he says this line, does he mean this like at the end? Because I don't know that deep part of Bemba. Then I'm like,
double entendre.
I was like, this guy, So it made him fall into the faves for me, and said, okay, I like him because, he's taken it a notch much higher. So I think that's probably the second one. And then for like maybe the whole Zambian thing, number 3 would probably when Slap D and Max 2 decided to just put all that unnecessary stuff aside. And they did the music and did the video where I think Mike 2 goes to get him out of hospital after the accident or whatever. And to me that was like, this is now solid, because it's not about east or west, it's not, that type of thing. So it brought everything together. I said, because it's the same thing that could be applied in other areas, like maybe politics or whatever it is. If the people who are at the top could just gel, then people stop fighting each other. Because they look, why are we doing this? And I've seen pictures where people of opposing parties will stand next to each other and just take photos and like, okay, he that's his thing, this is my thing, but we're cool. We don't have anything against each other.
No bad blood.
We could still probably make it happen, because at the end of the day, just trying to make this place better for everyone. And that's the same thing with the music. So if people put their egos aside and say, you know what, there's that song that you did, man, you need to teach me how to make songs like that, or how to do that, then we're growing. But then the second, just like, hey, what's up, man? And I turn, Amazon
we love that.
Come on. And we love that. Well, they love
exactly.
People do that to each other.
Nah, we need to stop.
So I think those 3 stand out. Like, those are the biggest for me.
No, that's really dope, man. And I guess on a parting note, man, what would you like to see, or maybe you could even make it a projection, or what do you see being the next evolution of Zambian hip-hop? Where do you think we're headed as a culture, as a game?
I think we're on the right path. The only problem is I think people should take their craft a bit more seriously and not make music that you want your neighborhood or clubs to play, because that's as far as your vision is. I mean, you should have a bigger goal and say, I want to go international, but what do I need? And for you to do that, if I could study a person who was doing a freestyle and became better than the person who was doing a freestyle and move from there and started to make music, I don't see why we can't study or take a book out of someone and just look at the notes and say, wait, this kind of makes sense. And our closest place to play with is right now we can't really be looking at Nigeria because they have the numbers in terms of population in their country and outside their country.
It's a diaspora, right?
Yeah. But if you look at a place like South Africa or whatever it is, we take notes from there and try to emulate whatever it is that they're doing. It could work for us because we just take, okay, say, this is working. I mean, why is it that we've got Def Jam in South Africa? Why don't we have it in Zambia? Why is it that when you go that side, a celebrity is a celebrity? When he walks in the club, he's getting drinks from all the endorsements or whatever it is. We need to have that culture because these guys seem to be dealing with a lot of maybe companies that provide alcohol, cell phones, whatever. We have those endorsements, but how do you use that to
level up?
Yeah, to level up, exactly. So we need a situation where someone studies what those guys are doing, how it's working, and propose that to some of the companies here and keep going at it. And right now, everything could happen because everything's more digital now. You could be on YouTube, you could be on IG, wherever it is. You could be on TikTok. You want to be out there. So I think if people study that and see the formula that's working, you're going to work with the numbers of the locals who are here. Then you're going to work with the numbers of those who are outside. Imagine Nigerians who go to any country in the world and still go eat from a Nigerian restaurant because they're about their culture, they're about their food, right? So imagine having someone who set up a business in the US who gets choma milling or whatever it is across that side and sets up a Mateveto type setup. Or the Zambians who are in that area, that would be their spot because the milling is different from whatever they'll get from that side. So they'll say, this is our thing. But that's what Nigerians do. That's why it's easy for them to buy music and say, oh, that's our person. Because even when they're in the club, you're going to feel that, oh, this is Nigerian for real. But we don't have that here because everybody wants to be the next person. No, I'm the one, they're playing my music. And I said, no, but we're playing the music because maybe the DJ is a Zambian guy there and he's repping for his boys. It could be anyone. But what it has to be, it has to take one person to stop, or one person to be the bigger person and accept and say, let's do it like this. Because once it's out there, once you have that music out there, no one's going to stop you. It'll be easy to get a Grammy, whatever other award is there. But as long as we work together and just say, you know what, let's nominate this guy. Let's nominate Slap D. I think Slap D will do it. Then we're all in it for Slap D. Because if Mark 2 says something on his page, Cleo, yourself, whoever it is who's got like a huge following, then it pays out because everybody now buys into the Slap D movement, or if it's Mark 2, regardless of who the artist is. But it takes the bigger names, the ones with the followers, to set it up, and then it works out. And on the business side of things, I won't really get into it because I'm sure that people who have the experience and know how it really works. But me, that's my idea. And some things worked out. It's just an opinion. Some things worked out, some didn't. But then that's what I believe. That's the only way we could do it.
No, man, I think for me, a big lesson that I get from that, and to wrap the show up on a positive note, man, is we can all win. We need to take that Ubuntu spirit, that culture, and apply it to positivity.
Straight up.
You know what I'm saying? For Zambian hip-hop, for Zambian music, and for just Zambian culture in general, man. So I'm really, really happy and, honored that you came to sit down with us, man.
No, thank you for having me,
man. It means a lot. This has been another episode of Zambian hip-hop history with the main man himself, 5ive 4our. Respect, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, man.
That's what's up.
Peace.